I'm Nick, and welcome to my shop. We all want to be better woodworkers, and the best way to do that is through practice. For 7 days, I'm turning 7 projects in this shop. Today is day 3, and I think today's project's gonna be a pen. I've already done a platter and an ice cream scoop, so I'm gonna do a third project. Let's get to it. I have a lot of blanks here. And that's because I stock pens in my garage at all times, because it's always nice to be able to just grab something and turn it. So I have a mix of acrylic and wood in this box. It's leopard wood, that's a good candidate. And basically what I'm doing is I'm going through here and seeing what I want to turn. Ooh, this is Mazor Birch. And I feel like I want to turn something wood today. Definitely not snake wood. That one's a pain in the butt to turn. Mazor Birch or leopard wood. I also stock a bunch of kits. And basically what I'm looking for, something that piques my interest here. Ooh, a copper Cuban pen, or Cuban cigar pen. So there's different types of pen kits out there. There's the standard ones you see a lot of cigar pens and the slimline pens. Basically one's really big, one's really small. What I'm going to turn though, is the bolt action pen kit that I have here. And I think I'm going to pair that with the leopard wood, because it's a dark kit with a dark wood. I think it's going to look really good. And then to keep everything together, I use these little containers, because there are a bunch of parts. And then pens always come with instructions on how to put them together, like what bushings to use, what size hole to drill, stuff like that. It's generally all the same process, but the sizes are different for every pen. Okay, gotta slice this to the length, make it a little bit longer. Now, need to drill a hole for this tube. And I need an 8mm bit. I always like to check the size to be sure and just line it up. Make sure the barrel's the same size as your bit, and it is. Here we go. Drill it all the way through. Okay, back to the workbench. I need to epoxy this into here. To put the barrel into the pen blank, you can use CA glue, and that works for the most part. I prefer epoxy. The reason being is I had a few times where the barrels didn't adhere very well, and the epoxy just worked better. So both work, your mileage may vary. As you insert, I always like to twist to make sure you get good coverage. And there we go. I'm going to let this sit for a few hours and come back and turn the pen. If I was using CA glue, probably go and do it right away. It's more of a chance of that CA glue failing and this coming apart. Okay, well back. It's been about 3-4 hours and this epoxy is all hard and ready to go. So I got to trim the ends of my piece here so that they're flush with the tube. And I should be using a 8mm pen, the pen mill. That's what does the trimming, but I only have a 7. So we're gonna just use that one. Not being the right size, that actually worked out pretty well. So the way pen turning works is you have a mandrel and you put your piece of wood on it, and you have these bushings that are the exact width for the pen. And then you just turn it down to the correct size.
And then you can do some fun things with shape and stuff, and I'll get to that. This needs to be shortened. So you can see this is the leopard wood and has some really cool, interesting grain in it with spots. That is fascinating. So let's get to shape. I typically turn pens with like the nib down here just so I can kind of grab onto it and see how it feels. But you're gonna end up with something like this. Now I could just do this straight across and just have something boring, but I like to have a little bit of like a bump or something in my pen. So I think, bump doesn't really matter. Kind of hold it down here, so I think I'm going to do a bump probably right about there. So I'm going to be small, bump out, and then go back to small. Everyone hates sanding, and the one way I found to sand less is to use nice sharp tools. So for this project here, I'm going to start with 220. Don't need to deal with any of those lower grits because the tool leaves a nice finish. And you have probably guessed it by now, but my finish is walnut oil. I know some people use CA glue, and basically with CA glue you're encasing the wood in plastic. Don't really like that. I like the more natural feel. I have used wood turner's finish, which is like a wipe on, wipe off, easy to apply, quick to apply finish. But really, nothing beats walnut oil. So I'm going to put some carnauba wax on this and make it sparkle. And there we go. It's a little bit more shiny. This all looks complicated. That's because it is. Press back end assembly into opposite end of the barrel. Wait, no. Screw the connector onto the tip at the bottom. Press either end of the barrel into the connector extension. Yeah, this. This pen press goes this way. There we go. And then press the back end assembly onto the opposite end. So here. Okay. Then unscrew . Cool. There we go.
Another day in the shop, another great project completed. This pen turned out great, and pens are always something you need, so this one's going to go in my work bag for when I need to write down a quick note. Also, working with exotics, there's some really cool stuff out there that you just don't get access to, and leopard wood is no exception. I really love the grain of this wood. Definitely looks like the spots on a leopard. I think that's where it got a name from, but that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, that's about it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.